The KTM 790 Adventure and its bigger brother, the 790 Adventure R, have been announced last year with all of their saucy details, but we now also have access to the moolah. The moolah that you will need to pay for KTM's latest and greatest mid-class adventure bike. Get your motorbike news in a pleasant way. Hit that subscribe button and turn on your notifications so you don't miss the next episode. KTM is aiming to dominate the mid-weight off-road adventure segment by offering more performance at a lower price. The main components that they are using to win this adventure war are: number 1, engine; number 2, suspension; 3, accessories, all the toys they throw onto the bike; and number 4, and probably the most important, price. Let's run through all of them and see what this bike has to offer. Number 1, engine. The 790 Adventure is powered by the same 799cc parallel twin that was developed for the Duke 790, the so-called LC8C engine. LC8C, that's a mouthful. Bore and stroke remain unchanged from the Duke, but top-end power has been dropped to 95 horsepower. Torque is at an expectable 88 Newton meters at quite a higher RPM of 6,600. Number 2, suspension. The 790 Adventure R uses WP suspension. WP is a company that KTM owns that make suspensions, with a 48mm fork that features 9.5 inches of travel with adjustment for compression, rebound, damping, as well as preload. Only the Africa Twin Adventure Sports and the Triumph Scrambler 1200 feature that much travel from their front fork. The new BMW F850 GS, by comparison, has a fork with no adjustability and only 8 inches of travel. That's 8 inches compared to the KTM's 9.5 inches. There is also a WP steering damper and a sealed hydro stop, which KTM claims that will help against the fork bottoming out. The rear shock is also a WP unit, featuring the same 9.5 inches of travel but provides even more adjustability. It has independent settings for preload, high-end and low-speed compression dampening, as well as rebound. An argument could be made for BMW's dynamic ESA shock, but that will cost you an additional $1,000. So, on paper, KTM has the best suspension in the middle adventure class. Let's talk a bit about toys that KTM have bolted on the bike. In no particular order: lean angle sensitive ABS, motorcycle traction control, off-road ABS. What that means is ABS that is activated at the front but disabled at the rear. 4 different riding modes: TFT dash with Bluetooth connectivity, LED head and tail lamp, electronic cruise control, that is an optional, quick shifter that's both up and down, that is also an optional, and the KTM MyRide mobile app. Next, let's talk a bit about weight. Dry weight is claimed to be at 189 kilograms, that's 416 pounds, with a fuel tank that can hold 20 liters, 5.3 gallons of fuel. I'm guessing we'll see a real-world wet weight coming somewhere around 205 kilograms, that's 450-ish pounds, for this bike, which would make it around 15 to 30 k's, 35-65 pounds lighter than any other bike in this class. And by the look of the fuel tank, weight is kept low and forward, which would give the bike a very balanced center of gravity. Next, let's talk about the Adventure versus the Adventure R. Well, they have a lot more in common than they have different. They share the same 21-inch front wheel, fuel capacity is at 20 liters for both, brakes are also the same, both weigh a claimed 189, 416 pounds, and produce 95 horsepower. The big difference is in the suspension. The R gets 48mm highly adjustable WP front forks compared with the 43 forks on the non-R bike. The rear shock is also different and a lot more adjustable on the R model. The base model also gets a lower height adjustable seat that can be adjusted from 830 to 850mm, while the Adventure R has a fixed 880mm seat. So if you're on the tall side, maybe the R version is the only option for you. The R version also gets a rally mode, which allows up to 9 levels of slip to be adjusted into the MTC system, the motorbike traction control system. Setting 9 offers the most engagement, while setting 1 is just a step away from disabling the traction control completely. If you are not one to really venture too far off-road, you could consider the new non-R, which is aimed at adventure touring riders which spend the majority of their time on the pavement. Same as most GS riders. Before we take a look at the price, let's firstly compare the 790 Adventure with its other main competitors. Here we have chosen BMW's F850 GS, the Triumph Tiger XCX, and the Honda Africa Twin. The Africa Twin is the only one here with a larger displacement of almost 1 liter. Power-wise, all bikes produce around the same 95 horsepower, but Honda's larger engine shows its advantage when we look at the torque output. Wait, surprise, surprise, KTM is the winner here by far with its 205 kilogram bike. Clutch, all bikes have a wet clutch, which is brilliant for off-road, and tubeless tires are only found on the KTM and the BMW. Pricing. Here KTM steals the show again with $12,500 asked for the 790 Adventure and $13,500 for the Adventure R. That's a whole $1,000 less than its closest price competitor, the Honda Africa Twin. So how has KTM managed to keep the price this competitive? One explanation could be that beginning in 2020, all KTM motorcycles featuring the LC8C motor will be built in China. KTM partnered with CF Moto, a well-known quad bike manufacturer, to build a new production facility where all these parallel twin bikes will be built. How do you feel about your Austrian motorcycle having a Made in China sticker on it? Let me know in the comments if this makes a real life difference to you, or if you are fine with it as long as the price is kept low. As far as I'm concerned, as long as the quality control is up to scratch in that factory, they can make it in a sewer in the slums of Bangladesh. Motorcycles should arrive at your local dealerships in May or June of this year. Well, that's the show, everybody. Give it a thumbs up if you enjoyed it, consider subscribing if you've learned something new, and I'll see you on the next one.